All right, good morning, 1 million cups. Let's hear that applause. We haven't heard applause in, there we go. All right. It's good to see everyone back at Dakota Stage. The first live event or open up our doors since early March 18th, something like that. So glad we can all be in the same room again. If you're joining us virtually, thanks for hopping on as well. If you're not comfortable coming yet, that's completely fine. Just know we are taking some precautions. We have every other row blocked off. People wearing masks and hand sanitizer available. So if you'd like to join us coming forward, please come down to Dakota Stage. That said, I kind of feel like the world is trying to prevent us from coming to Dakota Stage with COVID, and now the sidewalks closed, all this construction. So you guys all broke the rules and walked on the sidewalk like I did. So glad you didn't listen. All right. First, let's check in. If you have the 1MC app, please click on it and check in. Allows us to know who's attending today. We also provide that information to the Kauffman Foundation, who tracks it nationwide as well. If you don't have it downloaded, please do that and check in for us too. Thank you to our sponsors. If you see a logo up on the screen, the next two slides, they provided us with funds or in-kind donations, allow us to do what we do here every Wednesday. Allows us to keep the lights on, coffee, all the stuff we do with 1 Million Cups. So thank you, sponsors. Any newbies today who's never been to 1 Million Cups? Seeing a couple hands? Great. Yeah. First of all, thanks for coming. If you're not familiar with 1 Million Cups, we are a free community. Every Wednesday, meet here at Dakota Stage at 9 a.m. How can we share ideas and connect with one another to improve our community in a number of different ways? Essentially, how can we share 1 million cups of coffee with each other to change the face of our community? Remember to use hashtag 1MCND for questions virtually, or if you're in the audience today. We will have a mic runner. We have some wipes, so we'll be wiping down the mic in between questions and that sort of thing. If you'd rather ask your question virtually, do so on Facebook or via Twitter with that hashtag. Let's move on to some community announcements. I know we have some slides, so if you have an announcement, please come up.
Excited to be back, and I'm more excited to tell you about TEDx Bismarck. We've worked really hard to get to this point, and we are thrilled to be able to still offer you this event in August in person. So we've moved to the Bismarck Event Center, and we're looking forward to having a full lineup of 10 different speakers. We'll announce those later this week or early next week. Tickets are available at tedxbismarck.com. And we also have a few sponsorship opportunities available. So with our new location, creates a few more opportunities. So if that's something you're interested in partnering with us on, please let me know. I'm happy to visit with you about that. Tickets are still limited. Even though the venue is bigger, we made that switch so we could accommodate some social distancing and still provide a quality event for our attendees. So don't wait. Okay, next up, we have Business Builders. Women's Business Center hat on. Business Builders is a virtual event that is brought to you by your SBA resource partners that you can see along the bottom there. And that is held July 14th. It's a virtual workshop. Registration is free. So go online, check us out there. Marissa Nielsen from Freedom Financial is going to be giving you tips on how to fireproof your business and succession planning. So how the heck do you recover from a pandemic or something else that isn't maybe an act of God that you didn't think of unforeseen? Okay, and this one doesn't have a slide, but save the date. Core Women is going to be back in person July 31st. We're going to be at the Quality Inn, and we're going to have an incredible presenter. So watch for more details on that. Again, Core Women, July 31st, Quality Inn. Thanks.
We're going to have to put a limit on announcements for one person, Lakin.
Annual Beer and Boutique event. I know you guys all need a little bit of beer, so we are hosting that with McCarthy Distributing. We will have over 20 beers and fun summery drink seltzers. You can try at each location. You can get your tickets at downtownbismarck.com. And you can also get a ticket for the Bismarck Cancer Center for additional $10. So you can get your tickets there. It'll be a fun event.
Any other community announcements? We'll get into our speakers then. We have a couple great speakers today with Yourdakota. So a little bit about Yourdakota. It was formed in the wake of the COVID-19 crisis. They believe that knowledge is power, and their goal is to empower consumers. They have the information they need to feel comfortable navigating the ever-changing world of COVID-19. They're working to help local businesses succeed in this moment of adversity and make it easier for consumers to make decisions, know what to expect, and feel safe. Please help me welcome Scott and Jason.
Let's do it. Alrighty, thank everybody for coming, and glad to be back at 1 Million Cups on stage for the first time. Yourdakota. So how'd we get here? COVID-19. As we're all aware, COVID-19 changed the way businesses operate. Got shut down, they started reopening. They didn't reopen necessarily consistently for various different reasons. So I'd like to see a show of hands. Who in here has gone to a business and it wasn't what you expected? Either they were closed, or you couldn't go in, or drive through, curbside pickup, you didn't know how to do it. Who all here has experienced that? That's kind of me too. So one of the things that actually kind of made this idea pop in my head, and I won't name the store, but I went into a store, this is around Mother's Day or so, and it was around 5:30. Sign on the door says they close at 6. Electronic doors were open, so I'm like, sweet. So I go walk in, there's no one around. I'm like, what the heck's going on? Manager runs out, you can't be in here. I'm like, why? Door says 6 o'clock. They said, we close at 5 now because of COVID. I'm like, but your doors were open. I'm like, oh yeah, we forgot to change our programmable doors. And so I ended up getting kindly escorted out of the business. And that's when I was like, no, this stinks. We can't have this. Without having to go to every individual site to see what the stores are doing, there's no way to find out this information. And like we're saying, there was challenges of reopening. Some businesses, they were having a hard time getting their employees back because employees didn't feel safe. The state regulations for the reopening were, I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. And so you had all these different businesses opening up in different capacity, not consistent. And there was also changing how we did business. I know me personally. I was still working a little bit through the crisis, and so I needed to go out and pick up some food once in a while. Well, some of my favorite restaurants didn't have a drive-through window, so I didn't know how to actually order food from them when their doors were locked. So what did I do? I'd go to my default, the ones who I knew what to expect, the ones with drive-through windows I'd already been through 100 times. And I started getting sick of the same food over and over and over again. And so I was thinking, okay, I'm guessing I'm not the only one, so there's got to be a bigger problem here. And that's where the idea of Yourdakota came from. And so, what do we believe? I firmly believe, and I know Jason does as well, that consumer confidence is the key to any economy in the area. And again, with those situations I was describing there, it was hurting my confidence. I think it was hurting everyone else's. And we started seeing businesses open up, and so we're like, okay, how's this going to play out? If people don't feel safe, it doesn't matter what the state says. If people don't know what to expect, it doesn't matter what the state says. People aren't going to be going out because inherently we all have a little bit of shyness. We're all scared to go up to the door and pull on it, and it's locked, and go, and you're on 3rd Street, and everyone's looking at you like, oh, look at that fool, I think we all have that internal fear, including myself. And so that's going to hurt our economic recovery. And as I'm a small business owner, Jason's a small business owner, a lot of my friends are small business owners, and it was something we were concerned about. How do we get past this? How do we recover from some of us being 2 months out of business and having economic recovery stymied by people still staying home because they're scared or don't know what to expect? And so what we believe is that if we provide people that information on how to safely navigate going out, that it'll help our consumer confidence in the community, get people back out to those retail shops, the boutiques, the restaurants. So information is power. And that's, again, that was the driving factor behind all this. It was very information-centric. But we personally feel that that's what's going to help us recover our economy quicker than just anyone saying, okay, it's open, go. And I think me personally being out recently, going to restaurants, I still see that. I still don't see the volume that I used to. And so I think people, and I talk to a lot of people, they're still saying, I'm just going to, not sure yet, not sure what safety measures are out there. And so this is what we're trying to get out there. So our purpose, as I was mentioning, is to give people that information they need. so that you feel safe. So you're thinking about going out on a Friday night, you want to know, I want to go somewhere where the business is taking the safety precautions that feel good to me, sanitizing menus, sanitizing pens, employees wearing masks, but I also want somewhere where I can sit down and do what I haven't done in a few months, get out of the house, eat someone else's food that's not takeout. So that's what we're trying to get out there. And again, thinking that's going to boost consumer confidence, which is going to help us all, that rising tides floats all ships type concept. So what is Yourdakota? Yourdakota is a platform that allows you to search those businesses in the community. It's North Dakota businesses as of now, and allows you to search by those fields I was just mentioning. Things like, I want to know somewhere that has curbside pickup, or I want to lobby. I want to know if they wear masks, if they don't wear masks. And it also allows you to, one other big thing was change of hours of operations. So hopefully what we're looking for is to keep that up to date as well so we can know. So I don't walk into a store half an hour after closing and get yelled at by a manager and feel like a fool myself. So that's what Yourdakota is. I also wanted to make sure, we're all trying to find a way to communicate. So I wanted to make sure we gave business owners, business GMs an opportunity to really connect directly with their customers. So we allow them to not just leave a personalized message, maybe it's a thank you, maybe it's a description of how their business model has changed, but they can list their safety measures. We looked at doing this as maybe a sortable thing, but we figured every business is doing safety differently. Maybe they are every X amount of minutes. They are sending their staff to some type of sanitation training. I don't know. There's all kinds of things they can be doing out there. And so we also give businesses the opportunity to write down what they're doing. And again, if you're thinking about going out and you're not sure, you can go on the site, say, think I want to go to company XYZ, what are they doing? Drill on it, you can see what are their hours of operation, what are their employee protocols, what safety measures they have in place. And we wanted to give businesses an opportunity to do that. Again, and I'll let Jason show the website here on the next slide, but I'm just going to reiterate, the thing that was happening was individual businesses were maybe updating this on their Facebook page, maybe updating it on their web page. I saw a lot of those bright orange signs on the sign saying, hey, we're open. That's great if you're driving down the street or if you know exactly where you want to go. But if you're indecisive like me, you go, I don't know, I want Chinese food. And so the idea is you can go on here, click Chinese food, and you get all that information compiled in a single area. Again, consumer confidence, get people going back out to business. From here, I'm going to hand it over to Jason to show the site. You want the clicker?
Sure. Thanks, Scott. Okay, so this is the homepage for Yourdakota, and it's pretty simple. We decided not to include any listings for businesses on there because we wanted to stay pretty neutral and not have anybody have more authority on the front. So you would just do a search on the what, you would enter your business name, or you could do it on location. Or we have the categories down below, which would be automotive through travel. We have about 600 businesses on there currently. Not claimed. We need you to claim them.
We imported to make it easier for people.
And then at the top there, we got add your business, and when you click on that, you get taken to the plan selection page. And right now, we just have a free plan. But there are room on each side for additional plans that will maybe come in the future. But our free plan is free today and free forever. So once you get clicked on that, you get taken to the business information page where you enter your business information. And we have a cool little tool, we call it the Philobot. And the way that actually works is you turn it on right there, and we wanted to make things as easy as possible so everybody could get their business listed. And you just simply start to type in your business name. For example, I started typing in Dakota Stage there. And then what it does is the Philobot, it goes out to Google, and it looks for your business, and it pulls in your address, it pulls in your phone number, it pulls in everything. So it's really easy to get your business listed on here. This is just kind of an example of all the information that it pulled in from Google. Once your business does get listed, it's going to go into the different category that you put it in. And the category example that we have here is restaurant. So when people are on the home page and they click on the restaurant category, they'll be taken here. And then you can kind of see at the top, you can filter based on the different COVID categories or features, I should say, that we have set up, along with more traditional ones like catering, vegetarian option, or Wi-Fi. And there'll be different ones up there as people add businesses. And this is kind of how the business listing page looks. You'll have your business images at the top, the title, the different features here, and those are going to be the COVID features. And then we have two separate fields set up for sanitation measures that the businesses are taking, and a message from the owner. And the business owners that put their listings on here, they will get access to a dashboard that will give them all the information that, how many people have viewed their listing, how many leads they've had, and how many customer reviews they've had. And leads are if somebody clicks on their website, if somebody actually clicks on their listing, or maybe on their social media profiles. And then another thing that businesses can do is they can also do Google Analytics integration on all of their listings. And what that does is that Google Analytics is a really powerful tool that gives you a lot of really good data. So you can find out through Google how people found your listing and the different demographics of people that are using it. So looking forward, we're thinking about adding the following features. Events, we thought it would be fun if businesses, maybe a bar or a restaurant, if they're going to have a band, they could potentially put that event on their listing, and then that would show up on a page on the site. Restaurants could put their menu up there. We could do appointment booking. I've noticed that businesses, in light of COVID, they're doing appointments, so they don't have a whole lot of people show up all at once. Coupons and discounts. There's a lead form that you can have on your page, so when a user lands on your page, they can contact you directly through the contact form. And then another interesting thing that I was thinking of doing is a weekly email newsletter. So if there are events that are happening or businesses that are being featured, we could send out a weekly newsletter so people could just pull up their phone and they could find out all the events that are happening that week in Bismarck.
And to build on top of that, one of the things we were talking about with that weekly newsletter is the ability to, say, subscribe to certain things. There may be events you care about, maybe events you don't care about. So if you like to drink and like to draw, maybe you sign up for the arts and drink categories and you get notified when events are happening in the community. Like I said, like Jason was kind of alluding to, we do have a roadmap here, but we wanted to get it out so it's very topical today. As I had mentioned, date night planning. I don't know what that means, but I love the idea of, I know even with my wife who's here in the audience, through this whole thing, there's times where we just wanted to get the heck out of the house. And so where do we go? Well, I want this to become the platform for people looking to go out on the weekend, have a night out in town. Bismarck has a lot of options with entertainment, food, shopping. I know us alone, we'll come downtown at 5 o'clock and we'll shop a little bit, go get some food, maybe get a drink afterwards. There's a lot of things to do in a few block radius and just downtown. And North Bismarck has some of the same options. And so I want this to be the place to go where you can basically plan that out. And we've talked about some functionality to help it more than just be a search for here, but maybe you build your date night plan. Maybe there's some other options you can add in there, some type of dinner and a movie special type thing. More cities. This is where I really see this being applicable even in the near term. I see this as one of our higher priorities. A lot of people aren't going to Disney World this year. A lot of people aren't going to be going to Mexico or traveling out of state very much. So you already see this with a lot of camper sales. Just go to the state parks. I've never seen the campsites as busy as they've been in the last few months. So a lot of people are going to be traveling in the state. After a while, you're going to figure out maybe what it's like in Bismarck. If your favorite restaurants are open, favorite restaurants are closed. But what if you're going to Fargo? You have no idea. What if you're going to Medora? I have a feeling Medora is going to have quite a good year. A lot of people are going to be heading out west. I really want to see the ability to get some of those businesses like Medora in there and be able to plan your whole weekend trip. And so before you go to these towns, you know what to expect. Again, that whole planning idea that, we can go to the musical, that's open, but here's how the musical is changing. Maybe they've changed seating, different things you have to, maybe you got to wear a mask to there. So get those organizations involved and have them update that information as well. And to Jason's point with the bookings, maybe you can book that whole Medora trip from our site. So that I think will be really, really, really cool because I'm someone who travels around the state quite a bit, and I'd like to know, again, I'm a creature of habit, so I want to know what to expect when I get there. That I see as being really kind of critical. And I want to see, and with Jason I talked about stickers for windows. If you got your business listed with Yourdakota, we want to slap a sticker on the window just to kind of get that word out. We need that community involvement. It also lets people know, hey, if I can, maybe I don't have to go in and ask the owner what they're doing. I can pull up Yourdakota and they'll have their safety measures on there. So again, just kind of facilitating however you want to communicate. So those are some of the future things we see with the site. We don't have all that in yet. We got this up and running in a pretty short period of time, obviously, being it's very COVID specific. So we wanted to make sure it was out in a timely fashion. So we're still working on that. And one of the things we do see, one of the things we were talking about this, I just like to get into this a tiny bit, is what is the relevance of this when COVID goes away? Obviously we hope it goes away and business gets back to normal really quick. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think, this fall there's still going to be some issues. Businesses are still going to be maybe changing some safety measures as we go through rollout plans. It's still going to be applicable for a while. And now, too, what you're seeing is maybe a restaurant has an employee who tests positive for COVID. Now they have to close their doors for 2 weeks. Or maybe they don't allow lobby open for 2 weeks, but they're still doing carry-out or curbside pickup. Unfortunately, I do see this continuing for a period of time. And so I do think there's going to be relevance there. And again, the key is, and I heard about this with a few restaurants when this was to happen, they closed down and didn't put much signage up. And places like the Chamber were getting a ton of calls saying, is this restaurant open? Are they closing down for good? And even just this morning, I was talking to someone who said there's a business mandate, same thing. Doors are shut. They don't know if they're reopening or not. And again, just a way for someone to say, hey, we had an employee who's possibly was in contact with someone who has COVID, so we're shutting our doors for a week, but don't worry, we're coming back, and it's going to be great. We want to give people the opportunity to be able to place that, and so I think this will be relevant for a little longer than maybe we even initially had planned. But that leads into what we're trying to add here. And so, what do we need? What I'd like to see happen, and Jason as well, is we want to see people going out in the community and trying out the site. We definitely developed it with maybe a little bit of blinders on. We tried to have it, show some friends that we were doing this, show some family members, made them our guinea pigs. But we want that feedback. We want to make this as good as possible. And so there's things that users are not, or even last week, I did a little blurb last week, we had a few businesses jump on and gave us incredible feedback already. And so that's going to help us make a better product for everyone. We also need the community's help with this. When we started doing this, one of the things we're like, Bismarck's not very huge. We can go door to door, door to door, and get all these businesses out ourselves. And I think once we started working on it, we realized it's a little bit overwhelming. And I'm also a little concerned if we do all that for them, they're not necessarily going to take ownership of that data, and then the data is going to get out of date, and it's going to lose the value of the product. And so we pivoted a little bit, and we're trying to work with associations, some different organizations and community to help us get that data populated. Not necessarily get us the data, but kind of encourage users using this kind of social peer pressure for business owners to go on and list a thing. Like Jason said, the way he did it took 5 minutes. It takes 5 minutes to add your business, and you have free advertising. We've got Google crawl on the site, and so if you're on Yourdakota and you search, it's going to help your Google listings come up too. And so this is all a free service. We just need help getting the word out. So that's my ask to the 1 Million Cups community and the Bismarck Mandate community in general is please, please, please spread the word. There's a contact form on there. Let us know any questions you have, feedback. Let me know how we can help. We're all in on this, but we need some help. And again, the best part, we kept looting it, but I still wanted to ask at the end because I want to be like a cheesy infomercial. The best part is it's free. It's free to list, free to browse, free to use, no ads. One of the things I absolutely and just steadfast on is I don't want ads. Like Jason was saying, we don't want a pay-to-play system. That's going to lose the value. Then you're going to have a few of the key businesses in town who pay for their prior lists come to the top. It's going to lose that community ad value. So I will not do ads. There are other ways we want to get this out, but I don't want ads. As Jason was saying, the listing that we're doing now is free. That's always going to be free. Not going to do a bait and switch. As we get feedback from customers, clients, community members of different features that we want to add, that's where maybe we start adding some billable plans to this. Obviously, if we do things like event calendars and integrations with point-of-sale systems, with other community vendors, there's costs to those, and so those are plans we're going to put in place. But what is available today will always be free, and that's something, again, we're doing this as just a way to get information out, and I don't want to monetize that part of it, and so that is the best part. So again, use it. It's free advertising, free to use. And thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
All right, give him a round of applause. We'll move on to the question and answer portion of the 1MC today. Tyler will have the mic. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Again, if you'd rather ask it virtually, you can do that on Facebook or via Twitter as well with hashtag 1MCND. Scott.
Yes.
How much does it cost to place an ad?
Free.
How much does it cost to use it?
Free.
And okay, well, so tell us a little bit more. You mentioned just briefly about potentially monetizing it later on.
Yep.
Do you have any more specifics on how that might work?
Yeah, to some extent, yeah. So what we, like Jason said, when we developed the site, we added some ability to have different plans. What we want to see happen is maybe a subscription. So for a few bucks a month, you get these additional features, maybe that menu upload item, calendar events. One of the things, I don't even know if this is possible, one of the things I would absolutely love to see, and this would be something, again, we'd have to monetize because there's going to be a pretty hefty expense to us to do some of these integrations, would be, I'd love to integrate with point-of-sale systems for restaurants specifically to see wait times. Because if you can see the wait time and get your name on a reservation, I think that would be absolutely fantastic. I don't know if it's possible, but everything's possible. The information's out there. And so things like that if we can get this, figure out what that'll take, and before we pursue some of that, we want to make sure that there's actually a need in the community. So if we start seeing that we get, 10, 20, 50% of the restaurants in town who are signed up, that's going to give us the motivation to say, okay, we've got the audience, we've got the traffic, we've got the interest. Now let's pursue some of these things. And it is a hard time finding that balance between how much effort do you put in to generate that interest versus not. But that's one of the things where maybe you say with point of sale integration, it's going to be $20 a month for your business to have that. But then you'll have a whole other data set, and there'll be other things associated with that. But we want to do it as kind of a monthly subscription. That way businesses have the opportunity to, try it out for a while, see if it's working, and then cancel if they don't, and go back to the free listing if they so choose.
Question in the back.
Good morning, and thank you for setting that up. That's great. How long did it take you to get to 600?
So we won't talk about that. No, Jason here is he's a web data guru, miracle guy, and so he actually got that done pretty quick. We leveraged some online ways to get data and import it. One of the things in the platforms we looked at using was that data scalability, to be able to get data in pretty easily and data out. We didn't want to go with a platinum product, so to speak, right away and have just an enormous expense, right, to mortgage our houses to make this happen. But we didn't want to go with the crappiest, cheapest product either that would pigeonhole us into having data in a certain way. So we picked a platform that allowed us to do things like import 600 businesses in general. For the most part, that part wasn't very long. I'd say, maybe half a day? Something like that?
Yeah, a day.
But, and again, that was just kind of value add. So business already in there, they can click. And I think one of the slides that wasn't on there is you have the ability to, if your listing's already in there and you're the owner, go, how the hell did this get on there? You can click claim a listing, you submit us an email, we make sure it's you, then you get access to the data, you can modify it. But that was actually one of the easier parts, was getting the data in. But it's not, again, it's only 600. I think we actually ran a demographic search or something about 4,500 businesses in Bismarck, Manhattan, within 20-mile radius, I think would actually be applicable in here. So we still only have that small percentage.
Yeah, that was my next question. What's the potential? 4,500.
It's about 4,500. And that really depends. There are certain industries I think are on the fringe of the value add for them. Like one of the things we, as an example, when we imported data, we got a few funeral homes. I don't know if that falls into a date night, and so we tried to limit some of those out. So with that 4,500, those were some of the businesses we were trying to remove. However, if they want to list and have a waiting queue counter on there, I suppose they can do that. We don't discriminate, but we didn't see that as one of the value add industries right away.
You heard it here first. New date night idea. Funeral homes.
Funeral home.
Keep up the great work. Good for you.
So just kind of expanding that a little bit. So the 600 listings that are there were a basic import. It's like the company name, any other data that's already in there.
Yeah, so it's important, and that's a good point. It's just a title and a short description about the business, their phone number, their address. Those businesses, a vast majority of them, 99% of them, still need to be claimed. So and once they do get claimed by the business owners, they can create an account, and then they can go in there and they can add the images, and they can update their listing with their hours of operation and whatever other information they'd like to put on there.
Perfect. Another question in the way back.
Hi, Biz Market asked online, what about nonprofit organizations like a farmer's market? Where do they fit into Yourdakota?
Just like any other. That's a fantastic question. I was actually talking to some friends of mine at the food co-op yesterday, and I think they fall into that category. telling them list it. Food co-op, as an example, does food takeout. Farmers market has hours of operation as well. They fit right in. Add it up. Again, I look at that as part of that date night, date day. Maybe it's Saturday family fun day, and you want to go downtown, go to the food fair. Add that in. Again, it's and nonprofit, so it's free. But no, that fits in quite well because that's a destination. That's somewhere where people are out and around town. It's a destination. I know friends who live by farmers markets, and so that's a great example. I don't know if we have any of those imported, so those would be fantastic for people to claim and get in there.
Question here.
So real quick question, you guys had mentioned that a lot of them haven't been claimed. How are you promoting that? Are you actually going out and calling each or verifying information? And then I will go one step further with the funeral home. To be quite frank, we had a funeral during COVID, and it's because of the stipulations, it was something that we really had to look into. So it's valid.
That's a great point. Didn't think about that. Thanks for calling me out. Because you're right, there are precautions there, and the number of people who can come. That's a fantastic point. So maybe it's not a date night destination, but it's still a public destination. And so again, as a funeral home, if you want to get on that's fantastic, and maybe we shouldn't remove those. But we weren't sure what category to put those under. And I'll be honest, we had a call about that one night. We imported some health stuff, and the funeral home started showing up under the health category. I'm like, let's just get rid of that for right now. But you do bring up a good point with that, and so that's actually a fantastic idea. The calling. That's going to start happening. I'm also hoping platforms like this are going to help get the word out. I've got some friends who we've got a Facebook page, and I want to really leverage social media in order to help get the word out. But there will be some calls. One of the things I'm probably going to do is I'd like to meet with maybe people who own multiple establishments first, just because we can get more data populated. Not that I'm trying to prioritize or anything like that, but it's just us, and we both also have our own independent businesses where we're trying to find that balance. We both have families too, and so as much as I'd love to spend 8 hours a day pounding pavement, knocking on doors, there's a feasibility there. So I've reached out and I've gotten some fantastic help with downtowners helps get some of us data. I've been working with the chamber to help kind of get the word out and work with them. I know there's a lot of overlap in those organizations as well, where they're collecting some of this information too. They're calling up their members, their businesses, and saying, hey, what are you guys doing for COVID? How's COVID affecting you? And so this is an area where I want to do some data sharing. And also, so right now we're kind of stealing their data. One of the vision with use or with approval.
We can cut that part out.
Yeah. But one of the things I see another value to this happening is that data sharing, because as we get businesses listing who may not be members of these associations, not that I'm not going to sell contact information or contacts like that, but I can maybe say, hey, here's what businesses are doing, here's the activity we're seeing, and share some of that data with organizations like the Chamber, the Downtowners, the MPO, different things like that. Because why have all these different organizations out doing the same work? I want to optimize that. I'm kind of an efficiency freak, and so I figure if there's ways we can work together, it's a fantastic opportunity for partnership. But there's still going to be some pounding the pavement for sure.
Another question in the back. It's nice to have some questions in the back. They've always been in the front row the last.
They're forced in the back.
Yeah.
Appreciate the great work and great concept. My question is, how would you handle an event that is a community event? A year ago, the mayor called for projects to enhance our use of the river, and a group of us had a project that the leadership students at the University of Mary developed for a festival, a youth and children's festival. We were going to make the grand announcement on Valentine's Day, and I put the brakes on it when I read the potential impact of COVID-19. We are looking for a way right now to go virtual. Our first festival is slated for August 15th of this year. The primary need that we have is to find and record stories and music and videos of young people all around our region who have talent. And it was to be showcased, and now we're looking at it being virtual. is there any way that we could connect with you to have an event be a part of Yourdakota?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question. So I think with Yourdakota, we would be more geared around actually having the calendar event. And then if we're going to start getting in, or if you're going to start getting into the video feed or a live feed like that, would probably be more suitable for something like YouTube or
Right,
Facebook.
we are planning that, but in terms of getting the word out there and listing an event, and we've got a website, that type of thing, but it seems to me that there are tons of events that are being canceled, and we're not making an announcement because we don't know what we have yet. It's probably going to be virtual.
Okay.
But we think we can do some events on the river, kayak races and things like that. And I was just curious to see if all of the events might be able to be listed as a function rather than a business. We did form an LLC. We have a board of directors and, to operate, but my mind took me there. It's like, well, this is a place for everything. I mean, so that's my question is that feasible to just list it as an event and have it categorized as such?
And that is a fantastic question, because as you were talking, I was thinking, well, just list the event as a listing. But like I said, that may not be the best way, or it is. I would definitely get your LLC added as an organization on there. One of the things we can do, again, is we get users, get people to sign up. Like Jason's mentioned, that newsletter. That's a way for us to get that information out. One of the technical things we need to dig into a little bit, maybe Jason can talk about this, which is why I actually pointed to him, not to try and deflect, because I didn't have an answer. That totally wasn't it.
It was definitely it.
Yeah, it definitely was. But under that organization, we may be able to list those separate events on there. So you go to your LLC page, and you can see your events, and you keep those updated. You click on them, and you get that status. Like I said, is it virtual, is it canceled, or is it whatnot? And then, again, we can help get the word out, in conjunction with social media. You can, integrate with your social media page, but also, again, if people sign up and we get this categorized where you want that newsletter to be for local events, we can send it out and push it out that way as well. Is there anything I'm missing there, Jason?
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty good. I would say just claim your LLC on the website, and then from that point, you'd be able to create the event. And then the event would appear on Yourdakota, and people hopefully be able to find it.
How far are we from getting events put in tomorrow?
I just have to turn it on.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Another on the back.
Hi guys, thanks for being here. You might have touched a bit on this question, but maybe if you could elaborate a little more. Kirsten asks, many businesses are still not registered on Google. How are you reaching those businesses that are not so technical but would benefit from this platform?
Well, so the world doesn't revolve around Google. I really hope that, well, first, I'd kind of encourage them to get on those platforms. But second, I would hope that they are part of any type of association, organization. And again, I think that's the the value that things like our local chamber offer, our downtown associations, our business associations, retail associations. If they're not on any of that stuff, that's a good question. It's a good challenge. If they're in any of those, hopefully we touch on those associations. That's the type of feedback. If they're more than welcome to go to our site and hit our contact page. I'd love to learn more about those businesses, because this is the part of the thing. I'll be honest, we don't know. I have an idea. I know majority of the associations that exist around here, but I know there's some I don't. And so if they say, well, I'm not on Google, I'm not on here, but I'm on this thing, and I don't know what that thing is, that's a great feedback for us, so that we can go and call them up. Because that's also going to open the opportunity to probably contact many other businesses who don't fall under the normal traditional categories of having a Facebook page, a Google listing, and those type of things. And hopefully this is their introduction to the technology, because I do like to think that this is easier than signing up for a Facebook professional account or a Google AdWord kind of thing. So this may be, again, with the Cheeto bot or Philobot, I like calling it the Cheeto bot because that's what I feel like it is, but it's fantastic. It's my favorite thing.
It works good.
It's awesome. Granted, it's playing off Google, I guess, but it's things like that that really are going to make it easy, so you don't have to be tech savvy to get your information added. So this could be their introduction. And again, if they add their listing to Yourdakota, that because we have Google crawling the site, that will kind of de facto make them searchable on Google. And so again, we want to be that centralized hub of that data, so you don't have to sign up for all these different things. So if they go to Yourdakota, they will show up on Google. We can help them cheat a little bit.
Question here.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. what you're doing. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, where you're from, your backgrounds, and so forth.
So both of us are from here in Bismarck, Mandan. I was actually born out of state. I was born in Philadelphia. Moved to North Dakota when I was 17 and have been here ever since. Graduated from BHS, went to BSc, went to UND. My background is computer science. And so with that, I spent 10, 15 years doing a bunch of software development, and then I was an owner of a technology company around here too, and so I got to get to know a lot of the community through that, and so my focus has shifted a little bit from the technical side to the community side, which is where things like this come up. But definitely have that tech background. I'll let Jason do his.
Yeah, so I grew up in Bismarck, Mandan area, and I moved out to Fargo and went to school in Moorhead. I was out in Fargo area for about 5 years, and then I moved down to Colorado for a couple years, and then once I started having kids, I came back. So, and I run a website development business here in Bismarck.
So we're tech nerds.
And maybe a good point to get a little more technical with the website, since some of our audience are entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs with wanting to create their own website. Tell us a little bit about how that was created, what platform you're using, all that sort of stuff. That goes way above my head.
Don't answer that question.
Yeah, say I don't know if I want to divulge that information.
That's fine.
No, go ahead.
So the website's built on the WordPress platform, and WordPress is, it's going to get pretty nerdy here. It's a CMS system, it's content management system. So basically what you do is you install it on a web server, and it gives you a platform. You can log into it, and you can create pages, you can create articles, you can add images, and it's all really just point and click. It's not, in the early days of web development, when we used to have black star blinky backgrounds. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was a long time ago, but you had to know how to do code. You had to know how to do, everything had to be written. But with the platform that we've built Yourdakota on, you basically install it, and it's modular after that, where you can just bring plugins in and different functionality, calendars, appointment systems, all these different things. And there is code that you have to write if you really want to customize things down, but ultimately, it's fairly easy to use.
The nice thing about these type of platforms are it allows you to focus on the actual value add. You spend less time behind the desk and more time out in the community talking about the product and being able to customize it. That's the fantastic thing. Like Jay said, it used to be blinky cursors, and when I first graduated college too, and I was programming, you had to write all this crap from scratch, and you actually miss the point of where it affects the business. You're so tied up in the nerdy stuff that you forget why you're doing what you're doing. And these type of platforms really help you streamline that, because again, most of it now is focused on the business requirements, not the how do you get this little icon to link here and do that. Most of that's handled for you. So that's fantastic.
Very cool. Question in the back?
Yeah, we've got another question on social media. This one comes from Bismarcket. So what about nonprofits like farmers markets? Where might they fit in Yourdakota?
I think I answered that question already.
Okay, great. Sorry. I'm late to the party, guys. I have another one if you're ready.
Yes.
Is there a way associations could integrate Yourdakota directly into their WordPress sites?
Mm-hmm. We talked about that. Do you want to? Internally, we talked about that.
Yeah, I don't remember talking about that.
That was one.
Let's talk about it.
That was one of those midnight.
That's a really good idea. Now that I think about it.
So one of the things we had looked at doing, maybe not with associations, but and I think I saw Ross here from the chamber, and I don't want to. Yeah, there he is. You probably don't know about this. One of the things we talked again internally was I would see integrations with things like the chamber site. Maybe it's a way for them to augment their business listing site, and so I see that fitting along the side with associations. I would love to have them be able to frame this in. Again, I want this out to as many people as possible. There's no idea of necessarily taking ownership of that data. And so if we have an association as in a restaurant association, as an example, or downtowners, if they want to frame, and we can help them with that, if they want to frame our site inside of there, I see no problem with that. And I think that's fantastic. And there's no technical issues with that, is there, Jason?
No, I wouldn't think so. And then I think, too, that just general stuff like reviews that come in. So if these businesses are listed on Yourdakota, people will start reviewing their business, hopefully. And if they wanted to share their reviews or embed their reviews on their own site, I think that would be welcomed.
Yeah, we just, anything we can, again, we're in this for the partnerships and the community value add. So if putting this on an association website is going to drive more traffic to that association website to where they can kind of inform the public of what they got going on and also get people on the site, that's win-win. That's what we're looking for here.
So I have a question.
If there's an association specifically that asked that question, please contact us. I'd love to talk with you about what they're thinking and what they'd like to do. I would love to have that conversation.
And I did see a contact page on the website.
Correct. Yep.
Just a question for you guys. Great interface and platform you put together. Really nice asset for the community. It's only as good as the quality and volume of the data you get in there, right? That's really usefulness of it. As you're thinking about how to do this, I know you're doing this very lean. Has there been a thought about, can we find some funding to have a staff person that's managing the data or going out and getting the data or acting as a salesperson and really developing this? Because my concern with this is that you guys put a lot of work into this, but without users and without a lot of users, both from the business side and the consumer side, you have this really nice platform that's not really providing value. So can you talk into what your concerns with that? Like if you're a month into this and you're still not getting traction on users, what would be the plan from there?
No, that's a fantastic question, Tyler. It's something we also chat about. We did chat about that, right? I think so. I don't know. We've had a lot of conversations. But no, in all seriousness, one of the things we looked at doing to raise some small funds right away is, like I said, I don't want ads, but if businesses want to sponsor, so it says, Yourdakota sponsored by blah, 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 and it's a few $100 a month, I'd like to reinvest that into having maybe a marketing intern or someone like that help make some calls, help create some material. Thought about doing some sponsored ads on Facebook. We've had the conversation of truly investing more and actually getting some capital along the lines of what you're talking about to hire staff. It's a big leap. And so I think as we do things like this, talk about it and get over those confidence barriers, we can have a little more honest dialogue about that. Again, Jason and I, we both have our own consulting businesses. We both done things like that. We also got both those off the ground without raising capital. So I will be honest in saying that's a part of the entrepreneur world I haven't had much experience in. And so it's scary. I'd hate the idea to take someone's money and not actually be able to deliver with the promise what I'm talking about, just kind of opening up my own fears and concerns here. And so if I'm being honest with myself in the audience here, that's the biggest hesitation with that. I fully believe in the product, but there's just something about that gulp and saying, hey, we need $20,000 to hire a salesperson to pound pavement so we can focus on the product and the branding and getting the message out. It's a leap, and I think now, as our go live was Wednesday, and as we're starting to get a little more comfortable with the idea, I think we want to revisit that. And that's where I love the community I'm involved in. I love the people I have. I've had a lot of thought partners through this. And these are ideas want to bounce off people and maybe help give us the information. Again, our purpose is legit. Information is power. And so I'm asking a lot of questions, and if I get the information I think I need, and Jason needs, and Jason gets information he needs, that's going to help us make better decisions. And so a lot of conversations happening to kind of get over that of taking someone else's money.
Definitely understandable. Well, I know you guys already kind of answered this question at the end of your presentation, which is fine, but maybe another reminder I'll have Tyler ask the last question. Yeah, I'm not going to steal it, so you ask it.
Yeah, Scott, you cheated on this one for sure. But
intentionally, by the way.
Right. Last question we ask every week is how can our 1 Million Cups community here in Bismarck and Mandan best support Yourdakota moving forward?
The two big things are honest, critical feedback. Not that I like being whipped, but that's what makes us better. I love the positive feedback too. You need that to keep that confidence up, but I also need that critical feedback. If someone's having an issue with a part of the site or they've gotten ideas, giving us that feedback, not being shy. We both have thick skin. Let us know, right, wrong, or otherwise, and then spread the word. Get on there, claim your own business, browse around, use the contact form. One of the things I'm watching the analytics, I'm like, yeah, come on, I want traffic. I want to see that traffic. I want to see business get listed. So if you have friends who own businesses, friends who run businesses, encourage them to say, spend 5 minutes. Go claim your listing. One of the things we want to do, especially once we get some businesses listed, is I'd like to send out messages, 30 days if they don't update their data, and keep it interactive. I don't want it to be just a list your business and go away. One of the things, so I like accusation audits, calling out what's in there. One of the things Jason and I talk about a lot is people go, well, some of this looks similar like Yelp. I'll just say it. It's probably something you're thinking. But that's what they don't do. They're a big national company. They don't care about the coffee shop in the corner of 5th and Main over here. They're not going to reach out and go, hey, you haven't updated your listing in 30 days. Is anything changed? No? Cool, man. All right, sweet. And that's how we want to make it different. But that's, again, how we need that information initially. And so that the ask of the community is just please use it. Again, we're not selling data. We're not monetizing that. Just use it.
Well, thanks, guys. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you for spending your Wednesday morning with us, and thank you all for joining us. It's nice to see everyone's faces again. We do have another event next Wednesday, so please come back. If you're on Facebook watching us virtually, come see us here at Dakota Stage whenever you feel comfortable. Thanks. Have a good rest of your Wednesday.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?